Hey guys, what's up, how's it going? My name is Rob and welcome back for another video. In today's video, we're going to be doing our Canadian stock portfolio reviews on Blossom here. So we've got two portfolios we're going to be reviewing in today's video. If you guys want to recap on this, I'll do a quick little recap of what this series is, and we'll talk about it so you guys can understand and how you guys can learn how you guys can actually get your portfolio reviewed and featured on this YouTube channel. So just really quickly to start things off, if you guys missed the previous videos I did make a playlist and I stuck them on my YouTube channel. There'll also be a link to the playlist in the description of this video. This is video number 3, so we reviewed two Canadian stock portfolios in the past. In today's video, I'm going to focus and try to do a little bit more than I usually do. In the past, I would do one portfolio review per video. I'm going to try to do two portfolio reviews in today's video. I'm going to try this out. So like usual, let me know what you guys think in the comments, and let me guys know if you like this type of format for the Canadian stock portfolio reviews. And last but not least, if you guys want your portfolio to be featured in these videos, all you guys have to do is sign up for Blossom. There's a link in the description of this video. It's completely free for you guys to sign up. Hook up your portfolio, link it with your broker, and then what you guys want to do is head on over to my portfolio on Blossom, check out my posts I do, and leave a comment in the post where I basically outline the details for being featured and getting your portfolio reviewed. If you guys comment on my posts, answer the questions that I put in there, I will pick random people's portfolios and feature them on this YouTube channel. And speaking of which, this time around, I decided it'd be actually very helpful if during these portfolio reviews, I got a little bit of background and more information about you guys. So this time around, when I did the portfolio reviews, I asked you guys to leave a couple questions so I could better understand your goals and what you kind of yourself as an investor. So I think this is going to be very helpful, and this is going to be very important in this series. So we're going to try it this way. So once again, let me know what you guys think about that in the comments. So the other thing I wanted to include was a little bit of backstory between the people's portfolios that I reviewed on Blossom. So I asked everybody to leave a few questions here so we could better understand everybody's style, like I mentioned earlier. So Samir is the first portfolio we're going to do. So he's 30 years old, investing for 2 years. So he's been investing for 2 years. So I'd say he's relatively new to investing. His goals is I would like to start working less part-time and generate more money from dividend income at 50 years. On retirement, I would like to live and comfortably live off all my dividends. So it looks like he's trying to invest now, maybe kind of makes more income on the side kind of thing, like a part-time kind of thing. And maybe as he gets older, he could work less, and then eventually his goal is to retire off of his dividends. So if we head on over to Blossom on Samirs Portfolio, we can see his portfolio here. We'll do a quick little overview really quickly, and then I'll share my thoughts. So his largest holding is going to be VFV at 30%. His second largest holding is in cash. The third largest holding is an all-in-one ETF, VGRO. And then he's got some individual stocks here to kind of fill up the empty space, I guess, just to kind of play around with, as well as some bonds here towards the bottom of his portfolio. So let's do a quick little overview, and I'll share with my thoughts on what I think of Samir's portfolio alongside his goals. So the first thing I'm going to comment here really quickly is going to be, I love the fact that Samir has 30% of his portfolio in the S&P 500. Now, we did talk about how he wants to have a dividend-based portfolio. Now, the S&P 500 is important for growth, and if you're ever going to invest long-term into the markets, I think it's important to hold a good chunk, or at least a decent chunk of your portfolio inside of the US markets, because that's really going to get that snowball going. And even though it doesn't have a big dividend yield, like it kind of hovers around that 1, I think the 1.5 range is with the S&P 500. It's somewhere around there. It actually does really, really well at just getting that snowball going. And like I said, if you're going to hold long-term until retirement, he's got at least like 20 years, 30, 20, 25 years or something like that going. I definitely like take advantage of the growth, because the growth for the S&P 500 has been crazy. So you could use it to get some dividends on a quarterly basis, but you could also use it to get that growth and build up your portfolio over time. So the second ETF that Samir holds that's actually been pretty popular, and I don't think I've really talked too much about on this channel, is cash. So cash is an ETF, kind of like a Horizons brand new high interest savings ETF. And I think the way this ETF works is that it's designed to kind of, you can buy into it. The price is kind of supposed to relatively stay the same. So you're not going to get too much growth or not too much decrease, but it's a way for you to kind of put your money into an investment, and that you can kind of pull at any point in time, but you can also earn some passive income along the way. So if you want to invest in the market, but you're not too sure if you want to buy stocks right now, or maybe, in 3 months or so, you might want to take that money out, you can put it into an ETF like cash, and it does have a 5% yield. It's got a 5% yield that it does pay out monthly. So it gives you that option to kind of put your money in temporarily, get a little bit of growth, get a little bit of earnings that might be more than like a high interest savings account with a bank, and you can get a nice little distribution. And then if you want to pull that money out in the short term, you can do that, but still get some yield at the same time. So it's an interesting ETF. I haven't talked about it too much on my channel, but I just want to give you guys a heads up. So Samir is probably looking to maybe pull that cash out, or just use some cash in case the market drops or something like that. There might be something like that going on. So I just wanted to kind of let you guys know how the cash ETF works. And the last thing that Samir actually holds is VGRO, which is Vanguard Growth ETF Portfolio. This is a big ETF that holds a lot of different markets here. So we can scroll down here and see that the underlying funds, we have like the US total market, we have Canadian markets, we have a little bit of everything. We also even have some emerging markets. So it's a nice diversified all-in-one ETF that you can buy if you want to focus on growth. And you can kind of scroll down here, you can see the different holdings. It's got 13,000 stocks, so it's very well diversified. This is kind of one of those things that you can buy and just hold it inside your portfolio as a single ETF if you like, or you can use it to add some diversification. And these three things that I talked about, VFV, cash, and VGRO, hold up I think about 70% of Samir's portfolio. So this is the bulk of his portfolio, and I really like that he's done things this way. So when it comes to Samir's portfolio overall, I think it's an awesome portfolio. I love what he's doing. I think it really aligns with his goals, right? That long-term investing and getting some of those low dividends, some dividend growth companies, and then kind of stacking them over time. And as he gets older, he can tap into that. He can work a little bit less. He can adjust things. And if he builds a lot of capital, eventually he can change his portfolio if he wants to get some higher yield. And he'll definitely be on his way. As long as he's putting enough money in and he's keeping at it, I see his portfolio doing really well. And I love the fact that like the smaller end of his portfolio, the tail end, is a lot of good quality individual stocks. You know, like there's ATD, there's RioCan, there's some other good dividend payers, and it's a nice small chunk of his portfolio, but he's holding the good chunk of his portfolio in the ETFs. He's got a nice mix between Canadian stocks and American stocks and a lot of like different stocks globally. So I like his portfolio. It's very diversified, it's very smart, and it's definitely one that's most likely going to do very well and work very well for him. So the second portfolio we're going to be featuring here in today's video is going to be from Dominic. So thanks Dominic for leaving a comment here. So he says, hi, I'm Dom. I'm 48 years old, so it's a bit of an older investor. Been investing 1 year now, so he's also relatively new. And I just want to say really quickly, like it's never too late to get started with investing. So good job, Dom. It's never too late to get started. He says, I invest mainly in dividend ETFs or split share funds looking to grow my monthly income into a good snowball. So Dominic is going to be a little bit different than Samir. He's more focused on dividends as well as maybe some of the high yield ETFs to get some dividend income rolling. And he is a little bit older and later in the time frame of his investing journey, yet he's still just getting started. So a bit of a unique scenario here, but you know, nonetheless, this is awesome. So good job, Dom. Let's dive inside your portfolio. So Dominic's portfolio is going to be heavily focused on some of the more common high dividend income funds as well as the split share funds here. So I hold some of these. I have smaller holdings, but Dom, like I mentioned, is a little bit older and he is focused on getting that snowball, and maybe he's more focused on the income, and that's something you're going to focus on his portfolio. So his portfolio is a little bit different. So we have HYLD coming in at 41% of his portfolio. That's a fairly large holding, but keep in mind HYLD is pretty well diversified in the US market. We have FFN coming in, which is a North American split share fund at 27%. So that's a pretty high holding of that as well. That's about 50, 60, almost 70% of his portfolio. ZWC is going to be coming in at the third highest spot at 6%. And then some of these other individual ones at the bottom kind of just make up the rest of his portfolio. So he has Enbridge as a single stock. He has LBS. He has HDIV as well. BK, TELUS, Manulife, QQCC, and then a small holding of VFE, which is kind of interesting at the bottom. So I'd like to hear Dom's thoughts on why he holds such a small holding of VFE. My assumption is maybe he's looking to expand on this over time, or maybe he's just kind of growing the position to have a little bit of growth inside his portfolio, but I would like to hear his thoughts on that. So the first thing we're going to focus on is going to be HYLD, of course. You know, this is his largest holding and it is a huge chunk of his portfolio. Now the good news about this, and the reason why I don't mind it being a good chunk of your portfolio, is because of the fact that it is a diversified ETF that holds a bunch of different covered calls. Now the big thing here you're going to see is the high yield, right? And a lot of his funds actually have that higher yield. So he's looking for the high yield, and he does have some small individual stocks, which I'll share my thoughts on as we go further towards this video. So HYLD, you know, is a big US market-based covered call ETF, currently having a 13 to 14%-ish yield depending on when you buy. Scrolling down here, we can see the different sectors, so it's pretty well diversified, similar to the S&P 500. And here are the different funds inside here. So if you hold HYLD, you're really holding QYLD, JEPP, GEPQ, RYLD, XYLD, GLCC, HHL, and then NXF. So there's a bunch of different stuff here. It's very well diversified. The other thing he does have is a small holding of HDIV. I would like to potentially see maybe a little bit more balance here, but once again, it's not the biggest deal. It's just something he needs to think about, like if he wants to have more US funds, he can have more US funds. I did notice he does have some more Canadian individual stocks, so there's that there too. But HDIV is basically, like a lot of people like to think of it as the Canadian version of HYLD. So he definitely has a lot into US market and a small holding of HDIV. But I would imagine the main reason why is because of the fact that he does have HYLD does have that nice yield right now, and it is a really good stock to buy, I think, if you're looking for some nice high income yield. So next fund I'm going to be talking about really quickly is going to be FFN. So the FFN North American Split Share Fund is kind of a mix between Canadian stocks and US. So there is a little bit of diversification between here. You do hold some Canadian stocks. The core holdings here are a lot of the banks. So Bank of America, Bank of Montreal, Bank of Nova Scotia, CIBC, as well as RBC, TD, and some other ones here. It's kind of like a nice mix. So there is diversification there. Like I did mention, he had a lot of HYLD, some HDIV. FFN, he has about 27, almost 30% of his portfolio. Now with the split share funds, they're kind of interesting because like they have high yields right now. If you look at dividend history, we can see that its yield is currently 23%, which would be absolutely crazy. But keep in mind, with these funds, sometimes if the markets drop a lot or if the NAVs drop, they won't pay out their distributions all the time. So what I find with these funds, like you see in 2020 during the pandemic, they missed a good chunk, like between March and I guess December, they didn't pay out a single dividend. And I think more recently they've been pretty good for 2021, but 2022 they did miss a few dividend payments. So it's just something to keep in mind. A lot of people might not realize this. Now at the end date, the return for these funds seem to be okay because the 23% high yield that you're getting kind of gets offsetted by some of those missed distributions. So at the end of the day, you might get like a 10 or 12% return. I'm not too sure. I haven't looked at the math. You guys will have to check that out. But just keep in mind that you will likely be potentially missing some dividends. So if you're relying on a fund like this to really get some passive income or get those distributions or rely on them, you might want to kind of be careful about that. So that's definitely something to think about. Nonetheless, he does have a huge percentage of this in his portfolio. But again, if Dominic is looking to live off this income or use it as a supplemental income, you got to be careful with holding large amounts into FFN. But at the end of the day, it's really up to everybody to decide what's right for them. So my final thoughts on Dom's portfolio are going to be a little bit interesting here. So obviously Dom is looking to build that snowball. He's trying to get those higher income, and he is older, probably closer to retirement. So it looks like he's prioritizing the higher yields. So I love the fact that he has the covered called ETFs like HYLD and HDIV. Those ones are solid. Now when it comes to split share funds, it's kind of interesting. It really depends on what your risk tolerance is. Once again, if you're relying on that income, it can be a little bit sketchy, but if you don't mind missing those distributions, it's not a big deal. As long as you've done the research, you're happy with the overall returns of the funds, and you're okay with that. It's up to you guys to decide. And then I like the fact that he does have some dividend stocks kind of towards the end of his portfolio. I would potentially like to maybe see him increase these positions a little bit and kind of just to kind of diversify the portfolio a little bit, but really it's up to him. If you want to have more yield, you want to have more cover call, that's perfectly fine. It just really depends on what your goals are. But kind of building up some smaller positions and maybe like Enbridge or some of those higher yield stocks like TELUS and stuff like that, some of those good dividend pairs, but kind of maybe gain a little bit of growth is definitely something to consider. It just really depends on how much income he has coming in, how much income he wants, and when he's actually going to retire. So that's important to think about as well. And last but not least, the small holding of VFE is kind of interesting. I'm maybe thinking he's looking to build that up over time, but I'm not too sure. I'd love to hear his thoughts on that. But nonetheless, good portfolio. It does align with his goals. And I think once again, if he's looking to build that passive income and he wants to get that snowball going, it's definitely a great start. The only thing I would like to consider is maybe a little bit of diversification, maybe kind of mix things up a little bit so you're not holding a big chunk of your portfolio in HYLD and FFN. Alright guys, that's it for today's video. So once again, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know what you guys think of everybody's portfolio. Share your thoughts. We'd love to hear them. And last but not least, if you guys want to sign up for Blossom and be included in these portfolio review videos, be sure to sign up and comment on the post, leave your portfolio, link your portfolio, answer the questions, and I'm going to basically be picking people's portfolios until the end of the month from that post. So I'm going to kind of try to do a couple of these videos before the end of the month so we can get a bunch of portfolio reviews since you guys really do seem to be enjoying them, and I have actually been enjoying doing these videos quite a bit. It's been a lot of fun. So anyways guys, sign up for Blossom if you're not already signed up. If you guys want to get your portfolio reviewed, have yourself a good day, take care, stay warm, and I'll see you guys later.